What's going on, guys? This is your boy, Random Guy Kev, and this is Thoughts of a Random Guy. We talk about many things dealing with love, dating, relationships, adulting, life's ups and downs, and the ever evolving world of just being a human. Don't forget to check me out on all your favorite social media platforms at Random Guy Kev and at my website, randomguykev.com. Today's topic is travel group etiquette, and my co host for this episode is.
Hey guys, I'm Sam.
Hi, Sam. Thank you for joining us again for another episode. So travel group etiquette. I feel like when it comes to travel group etiquette, I think you first need to establish who you're traveling with because you can't travel with everybody. And sometimes you won't know like who to travel with until you actually travel with them. And other times there's signs that you shouldn't travel with specific people. um, and I guess the planning stage. There's always someone planning, providing feedback. Yeah, so you have the planners, then you have the people that just sit there and wait until everything is done and set to be okay with it, and then you have that third group where it's like last minute, where it's like, hey, we should do this instead of this. It's like, bitch, where were you during the planning phase?
Yeah, actually.
What are your thoughts on that planning, that initial planning stage?
You know, there's I there's some people who I think like take a project like this and they just run. They're so excited and they do all the planning, but there's also, like you said, the people who like don't contribute any ideas, anything. And I don't know, dude. I feel like if you're going on a trip, you need to be a part of the planning process. You need to be able to pick and be a bit decisive sometimes. Go with the flow for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely go with the flow, but at the same time, have some type of structure so you have a general idea of what's around where you're going, what places you might want to hit, places you might not want to hit, and foods you want to eat, foods you don't want to eat, and kind of take it from there. It's travel group planning is essentially like those high school group projects you used to be in, like
Mm-hmm.
where it'd be like two people doing the work and the other two kind of just like chilling there until it's done. So,
Actually.
so it's kind of that planning phase is initially like, okay, let's figure it out. I mean, I'm a planner, so I like to. If you tell me we're going somewhere, cool. Let me put this place down on paper. Let me see what's around. Let me see what's in like a driving distance or places we can hit up, parties, and what not to eat, what not to eat, what we can eat, things like that. Because you never want to go to a place unsafe.
Yeah, actually, I went on a trip recently to Mexico City with my friends, and I had never been there before. But somebody else, kind of like I mentioned earlier, opted to do all the planning and was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna do everything." And I
Hmm.
kept asking for the itinerary, and like the reason I wanted it was to feel kind of safe. Like it alleviates some of my anxieties when I know where we're going, like how far it is from the hotel. And then also when I get to pick some things, like I know I want to do a little shopping, so I want
Hmm.
to make sure there's time for that.
Yeah.
And I think that a nice balance of contributing, but also kind of like rolling with what the whole group wants to do
Hmm.
is definitely necessary.
Yeah, I mean, even when I said itineraries, it's like it's not a lot of them is aren't time constraint I things. Like it's
Yeah.
not like, hey, from 1 to 3 we're gonna do this, and from 3 to 4 we're gonna do this. It's depending who you go out with, what type of plan you're going out there with. Like for my brother's bachelor party, like I someone put an itinerary together, just like a rough, hey, this is what we can do. This is these are options, and we can go from here. And everybody chimed in, gave their feedback. Hey, we messed around with it, we changed things around, but you kind of want to feel part of the planning phase of a trip and not just show up, because then it's like you show up and you're just like, all right, what are we doing now? All right, what are we doing now? Bro, you're part of the group chat. Stop it.
Actually, I was wondering if we could also talk a little bit about like the guilty feeling when maybe like one person or a couple people in the group like can't do a certain thing or like the whole group wants to go and do like an activity,
Mm.
but some people maybe don't have the funds or like they're just not interested in going. And
Yeah,
like
I mean,
sometimes
no,
I feel
definitely.
guilty, dude, because I feel like I want to go on this trip and I want to have fun, but also part of me thinks like maybe it's considering like who can actually go on this trip.
Yeah, and that comes back down to who should get an invite on the trip. Because again, yeah, you can go to a trip and you don't have to do everything. But at the same time, you can't go on a trip and complain about everything being done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things. I've been on a trip where in my younger years, like it was like one of those things where I had one person that was like, "Hey, you never invite me to anything. You never invite me." And when I actually invited them, every part of the trip they complained about. Yo, this is mad money. Why are we doing
No.
this? This is expensive. I ain't got the funds for this. It's like, bro, stay home.
Right.
Stay home.
Right. Some people can really bring the like just all the vibes down with that attitude.
Yeah. And it's like, all right, that's I would understand, okay, like, hey, you guys can go. I'm gonna stay here and do something else. Cool, that's fine. I don't see anything wrong with that. But it's like if you're sitting there bringing the entire vibe down, like, bro, you shouldn't be on this trip. But then we have those super cheap friends that they just want to fly out for the experience and just be there without spending any dollars.
I know. And I don't know. I feel like everybody should travel. It's really good for everybody to just get the perspective that comes with traveling. Also open your mind, relax, like whatever you need to go for.
Hmm.
Everybody should get to go and do that thing. But not everybody can go and do that thing.
Do you, when you invite people out on trips, do you have like your trip friends versus your other friends, or do you put like that? You have different buckets for people you invite for specific trips versus like in the U.S. versus not in the U.S. type trips.
Ooh, okay, yeah. I think that you can't travel with just anybody. Just because someone's your friend, like
Hmm.
they doesn't mean they automatically get to go. Especially for me, like I think as a lady, when I travel internationally, I don't want to go with like people who don't have any like common sense about them.
Hmm.
Because I need everybody to be like aware and like nobody wants to get kidnapped or anything crazy, you know?
Yeah.
So like the best thing is to go with people who I know are like they want to have a good time but are also responsible.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think for me personally, like I always put a list out there. Not always, but enough of the time I ask people like, hey, are you trying to go here, go or go here? Here's the list. Let me know if you're down. And I see who's down and who's not, and then kind of figure it out from there. Because some people are not built for international trips, while others
Hmm.
prefer just U.S. trips. Let's go to Florida. Let's go to Cali. Let's go to Texas. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I personally like using my passport, but then when you do go out of country, it's a you got to be mindful who you take out the country because
It's a
everybody
big thing.
does. Yeah, people don't have common sense.
Oh
They
my
think
gosh.
whatever they can do in the U.S. they can do over there. No, 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 no,
Hmm.
no, no. Stop it. Don't get us arrested.
Yeah, and also like don't volunteer to go somewhere if you know you can't handle your own there. Like
Mm-hmm.
let's all be adults and like not just throw your hat in because you're excited. Like everybody's excited, but if at the end of the day you couldn't get yourself out of the situation there, maybe you shouldn't go.
Yeah, I mean, I personally I like going to all inclusive resorts on a
Oh,
beach.
oh my gosh,
Yeah,
love.
and some resorts you really necessarily don't have to leave. You don't really have to
Right.
spend money at those. Like you may tip the bartender here and there or servers or whatever, but outside of that, it's like you don't necessarily need to spend money unless you want to go off the resort and do those excursions and see the I like I'm good here, especially if the resort is like I'm having a great time here and meeting people here. Listen,
Mm-hmm.
we don't need to leave. We're good.
I
And
do.
there's been a couple times where I've planned like, hey, we're staying here, but we could also hit this up. We could hit this up, but we're having such a great time at the resort. We decided not to go. We decided not to leave the resort.
That seems like a really good way to kind of make sure everybody can have a good time. And all
Hmm.
inclusive, like there's a place for you guys to meet up. If people want to go out or like they want to stay in. There's food, there's drink, there's almost always pool and beach. So
Hmm.
like everybody's chill. It's a good meetup spot. It's a good centralized location that people can just stay at or go out and then come back to.
So another thing, like with the planning and who to invite, is be mindful of. I think it's good to be mindful if you are setting up any like special things. Be mindful of people's pockets and how much they're willing to spend, because I've seen people like try to set up all inclusives and like the resort would be like $2,000 a night type shit, and I'm sitting there like, yeah, I'm not going. 2,000 a night
Mm,
to stay at a resort?
that's crazy.
You must be out your fucking mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a family member who love her so much, but for her, and I know, like, okay, this story I'm gonna tell is specific to her wedding,
Yeah.
but like, again, like, not mindful of people's pockets. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, we're staying at this hotel, like you said, like, it's super crazy dollar amount, but everybody's gonna be there, so you have to get a room there.
Mm.
And like, it's just, you need to be aware that, like, you're gonna want to do cool shit and you should go and do cool shit, but not everybody's gonna be able to afford. And then if it means that much to you to have your friends there, you have to be aware of like the pricing of everything, not just a hotel, but if you're gonna go out and get food,
Mm-hmm.
Ubers, taxis, like traveling incurs so many different costs that I think not everybody remembers.
I think the other thing too, when we talk about this travel group etiquette, is like those those people that decide to get married outside the country at an all inclusive or something like that. Like you said, sometimes they don't think about people's pockets,
Right.
because now you're not getting a gift. If that's how I feel,
Your
I'm
gift
the
is my
gift.
presents. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
welcome.
I'm the gift. I'm here. Don't expect anything else from me,
Yeah.
because yeah, like and the thing is like I love going to weddings. Weddings are enjoyable, especially if you're around the right people. But I always
Hmm.
look at, okay, how much the resort costs. Let's see if it makes sense. But again, it's like I'm not paying an X amount for an all inclusive resort if it's, out of the way and it costs $1 million a night.
Hmm.
And then on top of it, it's quote unquote all inclusive, but I'm still paying for stuff on the resort. And
Right.
I've been to places like that where you pay one fee for the all inclusive piece, but essentially you're still paying for other stuff on top of it. And it's like, bro, what the fuck? This is all inclusive. Why am I paying for anything else?
I didn't really know that happens. That's crazy.
I mean, it happens at some of those all inclusives that are not like chain hotels or chain
Yeah,
places
I could see
that
that.
try to be like super exclusive and be like, probably the most I've paid for an all inclusive was probably like 450 a night.
Oh, wow.
And oh man, like I wasn't gonna do it, but I was like, this place is new. I'm pretty sure it was 450. I felt like it was 459. This place was new, and I was like, you know what? Let me do it. Ended up having a blast. Then next thing you know, that place turned up to like 1,500 a night type spot. I was like, oh shit,
Wow.
god damn. Thank God I got it when it was quote unquote
Right.
cheap.
Yeah, you got a good rate, it seems
Yeah,
like.
but yeah, I mean, travel group etiquette doesn't just apply to your friends, like, hey, we're going on a regular trip, but also to that wedding piece that we just talked about, because weddings are expensive. Having a wedding
Hmm.
internationally, like on the run type stuff, sometimes will have people think, hey, you know what, I'm the gift, you're not getting anything from me. And you can't be mad at people for that.
No, I
you
don't
can you
think
cannot
so.
you cannot like, my brother was telling me a story um about, a bachelor party that was like 3,000 for a week. $3,000 to go to an all inclusive for a week? Yeah, no thanks.
Wow.
No thanks. I
Where
mean,
was that?
in Mexico.
Oh.
Shouldn't even cost that much. It's
Uh-uh.
Mexico. Cancun,
That's
Mexico. Stop it.
crazy.
And it's like when you hear stuff like that, you're just like, ain't no way. I've been to that area before. They might have one or two or three like super new resorts come pop up every year, but at the same time, to pay that amount of money, it just doesn't make sense
No.
for 3 or 4 days. Um, and you know, as when it comes to that planning piece too, planning and the invite piece, like we just said, be mindful of people's pockets, but know who you can actually travel with. Because I think after your first initial trips with people, then you can designate who goes where in which buckets for travel.
You know what's funny is I feel like I probably should not be in one of those buckets of like bring me to travel with you
Mm-hmm.
because I do my best to be on top of everything, but I almost always forget something. And this last trip to Mexico City, dude, I lost my passport
Oh
at
shit!
the airport.
Oh shit!
the
At the
day
airport?
the day I got there. Yes, like a dummy, I went to the currency exchange that was right. It was the first currency exchange I saw, and it was the last thing before I left the secured area with like luggage and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went in there as I was exiting the airport, just before I exited, and I changed some money. You needed your passport to do it. So I
Mm-hmm.
gave the guy my passport and he gave me the money. And I was honestly just so freaking in my brain that I
That you forgot.
forgot my passport at the desk. And I
Damn.
just freaking left. And I get to the airport and I can't find it and I'm losing my freaking shit. I and I even went back to the airport and I scrambled for 2 hours just asking around trying to see how I can get behind that wall to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
my
To get your
passport
passport.
back. Yeah. So I think
Did you eventually get it though?
I did. I
Okay.
eventually got it. I eventually ran into somebody who was like security guard. He was super nice. He went behind the wall that like I couldn't access.
Mm-hmm.
He talked to the company. They had my passport somewhere else, and I went and I picked it up.
Okay, okay. You
Yeah,
see, and that's the other thing. Like clumsy people, I don't know.
I know.
I don't know
Don't
about y'all.
invite me. Don't invite
I
me.
don't know about y'all because, like, I'll tell you about. So when we went to Japan, Scott just got off the plane.
Yeah.
Just got off the plane. He met us. We're sitting right in front of the exit thing. He went to exchange money. He did the same thing. Went to exchange money.
Mm-hmm.
Came back. Passport's gone. His wallet's gone. I'm like,
Stop.
Scott, you just got here. There's no way. You just
No.
got here and you don't have any. You just exchanged money. There's no way your stuff is gone. He's like, oh, it's gone, it's gone. And I was like, you know what? The help desk is right there. Let's walk over there. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
walked around for a little bit, then we walked over to the help desk. Thank God, you know, Japanese people are very nice. If they see
Yeah.
something on the floor, they pick it up, bring it over. We got it right there. It's like, Scott, we ain't been here but 15 minutes. 15 minutes we've been in Japan. You already losing stuff.
Put
Come
us on
on,
the
get
same
your head together.
list.
And
That's
that's the thing, like
crazy.
clumsy people, I don't know. I might help you search for like 30 minutes. Then you might have to figure it out on your
Yeah.
own because I want to have a good time. But I've been in a situation where I did leave my ID on the plane. Like I went from LA to San Francisco back home, and I left my. They wouldn't let me get back on the plane to get my stuff.
What?
I'm like still at the door. I realized I don't have my my fanny pack that I put my chest like
Mm-hmm.
on me. I'm like, oh shit, it's still on my seat. I'm trying to get back on the plane. I was like, hey, you can't come back on the plane. I'm like, hold on, no. I got my wallet, my my
Right.
ID. Like, can you grab that? Oh, you're gonna have to go to the front desk. So I'm gonna have to
What?
leave this safe area to go to the front desk and probably never get it.
Right.
You're bugging. I'm only here for one day.
Yeah. And
So literally, I did that, and it was like, oh yeah, the crew finished cleaning up. I haven't heard anything back from the crew. Da 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 da. I'm like, bruh, you guys are bugging. There's no fucking way. So the only
what?
way, So it is what it is. I printed out a temporary driver's license with no picture on it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had to get to pre-check early, so they could just verify it, so I can get on a plane. And I sent a complaint, whatever, and I didn't get my pouch back for like a month. I,
Really?
yeah, I got it back a month later. A month later, when they could have just handed it to
Right,
me.
considering you were so close to it.
Yes. So
Ah.
that's the other scary thing when traveling by yourself or traveling in groups. It's like making sure you have all your stuff with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because like with me personally, I try to give everybody like, hey, this is gonna be the general cost for, say, if we leave the resort, this club, this club, this club. We might buy a bottle. We might get a section. We might do this. So make sure you have cash.
Mm-hmm.
And when you leave the U.S., try to have cash. Um, and go from there, because the U.S. dollar is, in certain areas, it has more power than whatever is the local currency, depending on where you go.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Like, yeah, I'm big on like, let me just make sure I have like, for a trip, like $1,000 cash, just so I have it, 1,500, because you never fucking know.
It's always good to have extra cash.
You never
Yeah.
want to use sometimes you don't even want to use a credit card when you're outside of the country either.
Oh no. Depending on what card you have or depending on where you're at,
Mm-hmm.
cash
Mm-hmm.
is king.
Yeah, and then I know sometimes when I travel with certain friends, like I may buy something, like, okay, like I may buy breakfast and they may buy dinner. And then like I may, pay for our entry for the club. They might buy the drinks while we're in the club.
Okay, you have a good friend group because I know there's some people like, and I've been around some people who like nickel and dime everything.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
those are the worst kinds of people because, like, I get it. I get budgeting. I get like needing to stay within a certain number throughout a trip. I really do. But also, like, you can't be so specific about, like, oh, that water was $1.25. Like,
Yeah, worry about that. Worry about that. How much you spent when you get back home. Look at that
yeah.
later, because
Then
I feel like
Venmo
we all do
request when
that.
you're back home. Like, I
Yeah,
don't care, but like, don't bother me in the moment because, like, it was simpler for you to cover a coffee. Like, I'm gonna
yeah.
get you back. I'm gonna get the Uber. Like, there's always that give and take that needs to happen.
Word. And I feel like I like that piece, because like with my certain friends, is because it works for us. It works for our
Yeah.
dynamic. Other friends I can't do that with. And I've talked to my friends that I could do it with, and just like, yo, the way that how we travel versus how I travel with this other person, shit sucks. But
Mm,
yeah, I get it, because like, you do have friends that don't understand that concept. And
right.
I learned that very young with certain people. When I first started traveling with certain people, like, okay, I'll pay for this, you pay for that, you pay for this, I pay for that.
Right.
And kind of, it equates to the same thing at the end of the day of what we spending. So it's like, fuck it, it is what it is, and
Yeah,
we keep it moving.
exactly. And the point of the trip is to have a good time. Everyone's gonna get each other back. That
Hmm.
just happens.
What do you feel is like? I would say when you're taking a trip with people, maybe like top two or three things you should consider.
Um, I would say, I really like what you said in the beginning about making the itinerary, not like a strict itinerary, but like, I want to do this, 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 and this.
Just give people options.
Do you want to come? Like,
Yeah.
that's a really good idea because then they have an idea of what you want to do.
Hmm.
They they have like a probably an estimated timeline on how long you want to be there for. That
Hmm.
gives people like a general information on how much it's going to cost. And like that's a really good way to get people like to consider people's time and money
Yeah.
before even really diving into it.
Hmm.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And then also like knowing who you're inviting. Like some friends, I don't know about you, but some of my friends don't necessarily get along with some of my other friends. So so sometimes I need to be cautious of like who I'm inviting and
Yeah.
like is it going to stir the pot?
Hmm.
Which is such a silly thing, but it does kind of matter, you know? Can those
Yeah.
friends
No.
handle themselves? Are they going to
Yep.
lose their passport within 15 minutes of landing?
Yeah, yeah.
Probably shouldn't invite them. Love them, but probably shouldn't invite them, you know?
Yeah, it's like you got to do a head check. Like, all
Yeah,
right, do I make sure I got everything? Cool. All right, we're good to go. Um, but yeah, I mean, travel group etiquette for me personally. Again, it's all right. Let me know what the plan is. Like,
right.
even if I'm not the one coordinating the thing, let me know what the plan is. Let me know what the vibes are because depending on where we go, I'm gonna get drunk as shit and mind my business and go lay on a beach or something. Like,
Yeah,
listen to some tunes, lay on a beach. Fuck everybody. I
right.
promise you. Um, and like again, like who should you invite? Because not everybody is worth sending an invite to. Yeah, they
Right.
may be good here, good to talk to, hang out with for like 2 hours, but after that, like what's up?
So when are we going to Mexico?
Listen, I hate going to Mexico. I'm
Really?
because I feel like that's when people go to Mexico, first only place they go to is Cancun.
I know, but yeah.
I don't mind going to Mexico. Mexico's a cheap flight,
I
but
know.
Mexico, I mean, Mexico is depending on where you go is a good time. Depending on what resort you stay at, when you go, things like that. It's
Hmm.
always a good time. I'm always down for a good time. Listen, I'll book a flight and be out.
There we
That's it.
go. There we go.
Be out. Like I'll work from Mexico. I have no issues from that.
Don't invite him. He's gonna work on your trip.
I mean, I might. Who knows?
Yeah.
But as we get to the end of this episode, what do you want to leave people with in regards to travel group etiquette?
Um, remember why you were invited to the function? No, just
I
I
mean, sometimes that is a good that I think that is a good one.
yeah, like I mean, I hate to say it's kind of cliche, but also like just be considerate. Be
Hmm.
aware, like use your brain. It's vacation probably and enjoy it. But use your little brain and like save up some money, don't go broke, be considerate of your friends, look out for each other, don't nickel and dime each other, and have a good time.
Yeah, yeah. What Sam said. That's it. That's it. But that is it for this episode. You guys can find me on all social media platforms at Random Guy Kev and my website, randomguykev.com. Don't forget to check in, and I will catch you guys on the next one.